Okay, so today's going to be an explainer, and I'm going to tell you the main things about an ISA. This is going to be ISA basics. So first things first, these letters stand for Individual Savings Account. To have one, you must be a resident in the UK or a Crown servant. If you're either a diplomatic or overseas civil servant, or perhaps their spouse or civil partner. So an ISA isn't really a thing, it's a tax wrapper. For non-finance speak people, that's like saying the savings or perhaps the stocks and shares are the chocolate in the wrapper. What changes the tax position on the chocolate is what surrounds it. Makes sense? I'm not sure. Okay, so you either think that's a great analogy, or perhaps you're looking at this thinking, thank God we're talking about tax, I don't have to eat your Snickers. Anyways, maybe this is better. You can have a cash ISA from 16, a junior ISA on behalf of a child, and all others start at 18. An individual savings account is an account that allows you to save and invest free of UK tax, apart from inheritance tax. And it's a tax efficient position which makes an ISA so appealing. The thing is, you can save in a cash ISA, a stocks and shares ISA, a lifetime ISA, an innovative finance ISA, or many combination of those four, as long as you don't exceed the annual limit, and more on this later. You can only, however, pay into one type each year. So let me just show you an example, because that isn't easy to understand at face value. Now let's just imagine that you love life admin, and each year you can't wait to open a new ISA, so you can burn more trees and get lots of drossy finance paperwork. Stop you there. You don't burn trees to create paper? So despite the fact that you've now got 8 ISAs opened after year 1 and year 2, you can only pay into one of each type each year. So you can either pay into this one or this one, but not both in the same tax year. You can have all different types of ISAs, as long as you stay under the 20k limit each year for all of them, 4,000 for a lifetime ISA. Right, how much can you save into an ISA? Well, for the 2021-2022 tax year, the maximum you can save in an ISA is £20,000 each year, which means the people who are maxing these out are footballers, the annoying TikTok creators, somehow that person down the gym you hate, and of course the cast of Made in Chelsea. You can choose whether you want to invest the whole lot in one type of ISA, being aware of the £4,000 lifetime ISA limit, or whether you wish to split the allowance between different types. However, even if you choose to split it, you can't invest more than $20,000 across all different types of ISAs. So the different types are cash, which you can put up to $20,000 in, stocks and shares, which you can put $20,000 in, and that's the same for the innovative finance ISA. So the stocks and shares ISA, potentially the junior ISA and the lifetime ISA, you can hold stocks and shares. So as always, when you are investing, you are taking a level of investment risk. There'll be a cost to accessing the markets, and all normal investment risk things apply. Innovative finance, also known as peer-to-peer, you lend to others. So there is clear risk there. It's just in relation to people repaying what you lend them. The junior ISA allowance is £9,000, but remember, that's not your allowance, it's the child's, and it's legally theirs from age 18. So just in case you thought, having a mad amount of money at 18 was a great idea. Okay, so the big difference is the lifetime ISA, which is an allowance up to £4,000. I'll circle back to this a little bit later. You must save and invest by the 5th of April at the end of the tax year for it to count towards your year's allowance. Crucially, any unused allowance doesn't roll over, so it's use it or lose it. You'll get a new allowance on the 6th of April each year when the next tax year starts. So let's go over some of the benefits of an ISA. So the big one is clearly the tax benefits. So that includes an exemption for capital gains tax. So what capital gains are is it's tax on profits that you pay when you sell some of your investments and or property in a non-tax efficient environment. It's a complex area here, so there's a link below, and obviously get advice specific to you. An individual's allowance for this tax year, 21-2022, is $12,300, meaning you can have a gain of this amount for each year before getting hit for additional tax. But you can have capital gains from other sources, such as perhaps buy-to-let properties, and this could easily get used up if you sell in a tax year. So if you're invested for a long period and you've got a large holding of shares or funds that you sell from a big profit, this could clearly affect you. This is why it's wise to start and continue potentially investing through a stocks and shares ISA if you have the allowance or it's going spare. There is an exemption for tax on bond interest. So if you're, for example, investing in bonds, the stocks and shares ISA will shelter the interest for you. So inside an ISA, you don't pay tax on dividends, whether you earn 1p or 10,000, as long as they're within the tax wrapper. Outside of the ISA, there is a £2,000 dividend allowance each year, and any more than that, you'll pay tax. £2,000 sounds reasonable, but if you think about it, if you have £40,000 shares and there's a dividend yield of 5%, you'd use that up and potentially could get any more tax at your marginal rate. So that's not an enormous amount of money, especially over a lifetime. So flexibility is another reason. So all ISAs, apart from the lifetime ISA and then the junior ISA, don't have minimum age restrictions on withdrawals. If times get tough, if you're part of those ISAs, you can remove them. So let's go over some of the disadvantages of an ISA. And this is the part where I want to try and find some reasons why ISAs are naff. And it was quite hard to find negative stuff about an ISA because apart from the fact that maybe the cash rates aren't that great in some of the cash ISAs, obviously look around. So it's the £20,000 allowance. If, for example, you get a large lump sum one year, may mean that you'll have to potentially phase it in to actually use up the allowances because 20,000 might not be enough. An ISA may not be as easy to access as a bank account. Another thing to bear in mind is it is possible within your pension to potentially get marginal rate tax relief with contributions. So you could argue if you're saving from an ISA and you've earned that income, then it's likely that you'll be after tax income that you'll be potentially putting into an ISA. So unlike a pension where you might be able to get marginal rate tax relief, you could argue it may not be as tax efficient. Also, any ISA savings are almost certainly going to be inside your estate for inheritance tax because they belong to you as an individual. So let's go over the lifetime ISA. Okay, so you can have a cash or a stocks and shares lifetime ISA. Cash, lifetime ISA, you shockingly hold cash in it. For the stocks and shares lifetime ISA, as ever when you're investing, you should be in it for the long term to allow you to ride out the dips in potentially the market. It may be better to opt for this if you're saving for retirement or buying your first home a long way off and you're comfortable with some risk with your capital in the meantime. You can save up to $4,000 as a lump sum each year or by putting in cash as and when you can. The state will then add a 25% bonus on top. So if you save $1,000, you'll have $1,250. If you save the full $4,000 each year, the bonus will take you up to $5,000. And that is before interest or investment growth. So the key, the main need to know is that you can only open one if you're aged between 18 and 39. Once you've hit your 40th birthday, you can still pay into it until you're 50, but you won't be able to open a new account, except to potentially transfer in an old one. You can only withdraw cash if you're buying your first home or you're 60 and over. Withdrawing at any other time, you'll face a penalty of 25%. So effectively the bonus is taken away again. That doesn't sound too bad, does it? 25% bonus in, and then potentially a 25% withdrawal penalty if you come out before those other two reasons I just mentioned. But you will come out with less because of our good friend maths. So the maximum property value which you can currently purchase a property with under the lifetime ISA is £450,000, and have a look in the description for more details. So let's go over the rules on inheriting ISAs. So the first thing to bear in mind is an ISA is in your estate for inheritance tax. However, since the 6th of April 2015, it has been possible to inherit the ISA savings of a spouse or civil partner on their death. The term for transferring of a deceased person's ISA allowance is called the additional permitted subscription allowance. Any ISA funds transferred as an additional permitted subscription allowance retain their tax-free status and are a one-off ISA allowance that is granted to the spouse or civil partner. This means that funds transferred under the APS are not counted against the normal ISA subscription limit and added to the surviving partner's limit for that tax year only. All ISAs transferred under this are included in the new limit, but if you're faffing around with an estate, then you really need to get advice specific to you. So look, whether you're wanting to make an ISA your friend due to the excellent tax benefits or just making up the numbers on your birthday party list, an ISA is something that you need to know about, and it will likely be a big part of your wealth building going forward. This has been Principles Personal Finance. I appreciate you watching. See you next time.